The screen fades in with soft romantic music, a city skyline glowing under twilight. The voiceover begins. It's been more than 30 years since. Vivian and Edward's fairy tale romance made us believe in love again. But now, the story isn't over. The woman who changed everything is ready to return. This is not a rumor anymore. Pretty Woman 2 is finally happening in 2026. A montage flashes by. Julia Roberts' smile. The red dress. The limousine door closing. Quick glimpses that spark nostalgia and emotion. When Pretty Woman hit theaters in 1990, it was more than a movie, it became a moment in history. The story of Vivian, a free-spirited woman with a big heart, and Edward, the cold businessman who learns to love, captured millions. Their love was imperfect, real, and filled with magic. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere didn't just act, they lived those characters. Every smile, every look, every line became part of movie history. Back then, no one expected a small romantic film to change cinema. But Pretty Woman did exactly that. It broke box office records, made Julia Roberts a global superstar, and gave audiences a story they could never forget. The soundtrack, the clothes, even the dialogue, everything became iconic. Big Mistake, huge, is still quoted today, decades later. That's the kind of magic few films ever achieve. People grew up, time moved on, but the movie never disappeared. It became a comfort film, one people turned to when they wanted to believe in happy endings again. And for years, fans asked, will there ever be a Pretty Woman 2? Every time Julia Roberts appeared in a new role, interviews brought it up. Would you ever return as Vivian? They'd ask. She would laugh, smile, and say it's hard to imagine a sequel to that story. But the love never faded. Online forums, social media pages, and fan edits kept the movie alive. People wanted to know what happened after the balcony scene, after Edward climbed up with flowers. And Vivian looked down with tears in her eyes. Did they live happily ever after? Did love last when the fairy tale ended? The question lingered in every fan's heart. Hollywood, too, couldn't ignore it. Rumors floated around, maybe a remake, maybe a reboot, maybe a stage musical. Yet none of them felt right. Because Pretty Woman wasn't just about glamour or a happy ending. It was about connection, about finding someone who sees you for who you are. And that's something you can't recreate easily. Still, something about that story kept calling. It wasn't over. Vivian and Edward's world still had one more chapter left, a story not about first love, but about second chances. And now, after 35 years, that chapter is finally being written. As 2026 approaches, the world is ready again. Ready to revisit those familiar streets, that unforgettable smile, and the city where dreams come true? The Pretty Woman we fell in love with is coming back older, wiser, but still full of heart. And this time, her story might just touch an entirely new generation. Time has a strange way of keeping certain stories alive. Pretty Woman was one of them. Even as new romantic films came and went, something about Vivian and Edward's world stayed in people's hearts, like a song that never stops playing in the background. Fans didn't just love the movie, they missed it. Every year, someone somewhere would post an edit, a theory, or a dream. What if there was a Pretty Woman 2? For decades, Hollywood buzzed with whispers. There were talks of scripts being tested, producers revisiting old ideas, and rumors that Julia Roberts herself had been offered sequels more than once. But nothing ever came to life. Studios worried about ruining the magic. How do you continue a story that already feels complete? The truth was, no one wanted to touch something so perfect. Still, fans wouldn't let go. In the 2000s, when social media began to shape fandoms, Pretty Woman became a constant topic of conversation. People shared quotes, scenes, and fan fiction, imagining what Vivian and Edward's life looked like after the fairy tale ending. Did they marry? Did they face new challenges? Or did time and reality test their love? These questions grew into a community of dreamers, believers in a story that never truly ended. Then came a turning point. Around 2015, the Pretty Woman musical hit Broadway. The songs, the emotions, the energy, All of it reminded audiences how much they'd missed this world. And when Julia Roberts appeared in interviews supporting the stage version, fans noticed something different in her tone. She didn't just smile politely when asked about a sequel. She paused. That pause gave hope. By 2020, the nostalgia wave in Hollywood was at its peak. Beloved classics were returning. Top Gun, Ghostbusters, Beetlejuice. Each revival brought old fans back to the theaters and introduced the stories to younger generations. In the middle of it all, quiet conversations began again at Disney, the studio behind Pretty Woman. Could this be the right time? Could they finally bring back Vivian in a way that felt true, powerful, and fresh? In 2023, reports leaked that early talks were happening. A small writing team was said to be working on a draft, one that explored Vivian as a successful woman in modern-day Los Angeles. It wasn't about her needing to be rescued anymore. It was about her journey, her choices, and how love evolves when people do. The script, insiders whispered, wasn't just romantic, it was emotional, funny, and deeply human. And finally, the rumor became reality. In early 2025, Disney quietly registered the title Pretty Woman 2 in its upcoming film slate. Fans noticed, screenshots spread online, and within hours, the internet exploded with excitement. Julia Roberts was in talks. Richard Gere might make a cameo. And the release date? 2026, the year the world would fall in love again. People who had watched the original in theaters now had children, even grandchildren, who knew the story through streaming and memes. The thought of a sequel felt surreal, like revisiting your youth through a time machine of emotions. The whispers that had lasted 30 years had finally turned into a voice. This wasn't just another Hollywood reboot. This was a reunion with something beautiful, something timeless. The love story that began in the 90s had found its way back to the present. And soon, Vivian's laughter, her courage, and that unforgettable smile would shine again, reminding everyone that some fairy tales never really end. It happened quietly. No flashing headlines, no dramatic teaser. Just a single post, a golden logo glimmering against a velvet-red background. The words were simple, yet electric. Pretty Woman 2, coming 2026. For a moment, the internet stood still. Then it erupted. Within hours, the announcement spread across social media like wildfire. Twitter turned into a stream of heart emojis. TikTok was flooded with edits of Vivian twirling in her red dress. And YouTube fans stitched together reaction videos filled with tears and nostalgia. It wasn't just another movie update. It was a collective emotional flashback. A whole generation suddenly remembered who they were when they first watched Pretty Woman. People talked about where they were when they first saw it, some at midnight premieres. Others on VHS tapes passed around between friends. Mothers texted daughters, fans posted throwbacks, and everywhere one question echoed. Is this really happening? Yes, it was. The confirmation came from Disney Pictures themselves. The studio had kept things secret for years, waiting for the perfect moment. And now, in a world full of reboots and remakes, Pretty Woman 2 wasn't meant to be just nostalgia. It was designed to be a continuation. A story about love that grows older, but never weaker. About people who have changed, but whose hearts still remember how to dream. Behind the scenes, a team of passionate creators had been working quietly for nearly 2 years. Writers who had grown up watching the film poured their souls into the sequel. The director, rumored to be one of Hollywood's most heartfelt storytellers, said in a leaked interview, "We're not trying to copy the past. We're writing a love letter to it." Yes, Julia Roberts was back. That news alone broke the internet. Her return as Vivian felt like a reunion with an old friend. The press release described her new version of Vivian as graceful, strong, and still unapologetically real. This time, she isn't waiting for someone to save her. She is the story, a woman who built her own empire, only to face a twist of fate that reminds her what love truly means. As for Edward, fans were curious. Would Richard Gere return? Early whispers say he might not as the same man, but as someone changed by time and regret. The chemistry between them, even decades later, was something no movie magic could fake. The official synopsis hinted just enough to spark curiosity. decades after a chance encounter changed their lives. Two souls cross paths again in a world that has forgotten how to slow down, but never how to love. It wasn't just a sequel, it was a message. About aging gracefully, about rediscovering love, about second chances when life feels too late for them. As fans read the news, they didn't just cheer, they cried. Not out of sadness, but because Pretty Woman had always represented something pure. Hope, laughter, the idea that love, even when unexpected, could change everything. And now, that feeling was coming back. Shimmering through time to reach a new generation, the entertainment world called it the comeback of the decade. Critics began predicting Oscar potential, while fans simply waited, excited, emotional, ready to relive the dream. For 35 years, people had imagined what happened after the balcony scene. Now, they would finally know. The city of dreams still sparkles. The lights of Los Angeles still hum beneath the night sky. But this time, it's not the same. 30 years have passed since Vivian Ward looked out from that balcony, smiling at the man who climbed up to meet her. Life moved on, the world changed, and so did she, in Pretty Woman too. We returned to that city, older, faster, louder, but still alive with possibilities. Vivian is no longer the girl trying to find her place in a world that judged her. She's built a life, a career, and a name for herself. Rumors say she owns a chain of fashion boutiques helping women who were once where she used to be. Her charm hasn't faded. Her wit is sharper than ever. At her smile, that same smile can still light up a room. But success doesn't erase the ache of what's unfinished. Somewhere in her heart, there's a memory that refuses to fade. The man who changed her life, then vanished into time. Edward Lewis, the businessman who once thought love was a transaction, till she taught him it was everything else. The sequel is said to begin with a reunion neither of them expected. A charity gala. A familiar song. Two faces in the crowd. Both surprised, both unsure. Decades of silence hang between them, but one look says it all. The story isn't over, according to insiders. The film dives deep into what love looks like after the fairy tale. It's not about running into each other's arms. It's about understanding how to people, shaped by time, learn to reconnect. It's about forgiveness, reflection, and rediscovering joy in the small moments. Fans can expect the same warmth and humor that made the original unforgettable, but with a depth that comes from age and experience. Vivian's journey isn't just romantic this time, it's personal. It's about her past, meeting her present, and the choices that define who she's become. The world sees her as strong, independent, unstoppable. But inside, she's still that woman who once believed love could rewrite her destiny, and maybe it still can. The film will also introduce a new generation of characters, fresh faces, who bring new energy and emotion. One rumored storyline follows Vivian mentoring a young woman who reminds her of her younger self, showing that kindness and courage can transform anyone's story. The sequel doesn't try to recreate the past. It expands it. It's not a recycled romance. It's a reflection of life itself. Visually, fans can expect the film to be stunning, drenched in color, light, and elegance. From Beverly Hills penthouses to quiet cafes tucked away in old LA streets, every frame will shimmer with nostalgia and hope. The director promises to honor Gere Marshall's spirit, that gentle blend of humor, heart, and humanity, while bringing a modern emotional realism that today's audiences crave. The soundtrack will play a huge role. Sources hint that new versions of classic Pretty Woman songs will mix with original tracks from contemporary artists. Just imagine that familiar guitar riff returning, echoing through theaters. As Vivian walks across a crosswalk once again, older, wiser, but still the same woman who changed how we see love. And that's what Pretty Woman 2 is really about. Not just rekindling a romance, but reminding us that love doesn't have an expiration date. It grows, it shifts, it waits, and sometimes it finds its way back when we least expect it. This isn't a story about a woman being rescued. It's about a woman who learned to rescue herself, and in doing so, inspired the man she once loved to become better, braver, and more human. When the lights dim in theaters in 2026, and that first note plays, audiences everywhere will feel it, that quiet, familiar magic of a story that never truly ended. Because Pretty Woman 2 isn't just a sequel. It's a reminder that time can pass, life can change, but love always finds a way back. The moment Pretty Woman 2 was announced, Hollywood's quiet corridors began to hum again, a mix of nostalgia and disbelief. The film industry is used to comebacks, but this one felt different. It wasn't just another sequel. It was the revival of something sacred. Every conversation, every rumor, every hidden photo from a studio lot became a spark in a storm of excitement. It all began under tight secrecy. The early production title wasn't even Pretty Woman 2. Insiders say it went by the code name Project Scarlet. Only a handful of people knew what it really was. Scripts were hand-delivered, locked in black folders, and read behind closed doors. Julia Roberts reportedly received hers while filming another project, and according to a crew member, she went quiet for a long time after reading it, then whispered, "It feels right." From that moment, the project had her heart. She agreed to return, not for money, not for fame, but for meaning. The team around her knew they were touching something iconic. The original director, Gere Marshall, had passed away, but his family gave their blessing for the sequel, calling it a tribute to his warmth, humor, and belief in human kindness. The new director, whose name the studio is keeping secret for now, is rumored to be someone known for emotional storytelling, someone who knows how to balance laughter and longing. One producer described their vision: "This isn't a movie about repeating the past. It's about honoring it and showing how love changes with time." The cast is a perfect blend of familiar faces and fresh energy. Julia Roberts, of course, returns as Vivian, no longer the dreamer waiting to be chosen, but the woman who made her own choices. There's talk of Richard Gere making a special appearance, perhaps in a scene that ties the old story to the new. Fans are already speculating about a powerful reunion moment, one silent glance that says, "Everything words cannot." Alongside them are new stars: a rising actor known for his soulful performances, and a young actress who mirrors Julia's early charm. Their inclusion isn't random. It's symbolic. Pretty Woman 2 isn't just passing the torch, it's expanding the light. Filming is set to begin in early 2025 in Los Angeles. With parts shot in New York and Paris, each location has meaning. LA for the roots, New York for reinvention, and Paris for love, the place where Vivian's story will reach its next chapter. The production design is rumored to be breathtaking. The same red dress is being recreated not as a costume but as an echo, something older, softer, representing a lifetime of stories behind it. Behind the camera, the mood is said to be electric. Crew members describe the set as haunted by happiness, a place where every shot feels like history repeating itself. But with deeper emotion, Julia reportedly brings the same laughter and warmth she did decades ago. But now, with a grace that only experience can give, the cinematographer plans to blend modern, crisp visuals with touches of 1990s warmth, that glow that made Pretty Woman feel like a dream. Even the music team has confirmed that they're working on a remix of Roy Orbison's Pretty Woman to open the trailer, a version that builds slowly, gently, then bursts into full nostalgia. But the real story behind the scenes isn't about budgets or cameras. It's about emotion. It's about the people making this film not as a product, but as a promise to fans who never stop believing in Vivian's story. When the final scene wraps and the lights fade, Pretty Woman 2 won't just be another film on a streaming list. It'll be a memory reborn, proof that sometimes, when the world forgets how to dream, cinema reminds it how. The buzz isn't just hype. It's hope. Hope that in 2026, when the curtains rise, we'll all feel that same spark again. The one that made us believe in love the first time around. The world isn't the same as it was in 1990. The streets are faster. The voices louder, and the stories people tell are different. Yet somewhere deep inside, hearts still crave the same thing: connection. And maybe that's why Pretty Woman 2 feels more than just a movie. It feels like a mirror held up to time. This sequel isn't just about two people finding love again. It's about how love changes, how it survives, bends, and endures. When we first met Vivian, she was learning how to believe in herself. Now, in this chapter, we'll see a woman who already knows her worth, but still wonders what it means to share her heart again. That's not fantasy, that's life. The beauty of Pretty Woman, too, lies in its courage to grow with its audience. The same people who once dreamed of fairy tale endings now understand that real love isn't always fireworks. Sometimes it's a quiet conversation, a look across a crowded room, or a memory that never left. This film reaches out to that older, wiser generation and whispers, "Your story isn't over yet." For new viewers, it's a lesson about what love looked like before dating apps and screens. A reminder that real romance wasn't built on perfect people, but on imperfect souls trying to find their way to each other. It's both old-fashioned and timeless, a rare kind of beauty Hollywood. It's almost forgotten, and maybe that's why this sequel feels so necessary. In a time when the world feels divided and uncertain, Pretty Woman promises something simple, yet powerful: hope. The hope that kindness still matters, that connection can still surprise us, and that love, even after decades, can still feel brand new. Behind every frame of this movie is a heartbeat, a tribute to Gere, whose stories taught us that laughter and love could live in the same breath. Behind every line Julia Roberts delivers is the weight of memory, a character who walked through judgment, found strength, and built her own fairy tale. This time, the magic isn't about transformation. It's about recognition. Recognizing the woman Vivian has become, the man Edward might still be, when the lights dim in theaters in 2026,